Hey everyone, today on People Now, Jane Lynch remembers her former Glee co-star Naya Rivera after her untimely death.
Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne tease their new biopic with a warning, adults only.
Ciara reveals the meaning behind her and Russell Wilson's son's unique name.
Ashley Simpson and Evan Ross open up about their relationship and planning for their upcoming baby boy.
Plus,
very unreal, very new experience.
We hear from a group of high school boys who are part of a program to build their own mock government. It's all part of a new documentary.
We'll tell you all about that and more today on People Now. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome to People Now. I'm Andrea Boehlke. Hope you're having a good Thursday so far. Almost made it, Jeremy, to the end of the week. How are you doing?
I can feel the weekend just around the corner. Very excited for that. There's a lot to get to today. Here's what you need to know and what's trending. Jane Lynch is remembering her late Glee co-star Naya Rivera. During an interview with today's Jenna Bush Hager on Wednesday, Jane called Naya such a force. Watch.
With Naya, you felt like somebody had your back. She was somebody who wasn't going to let anybody mess with you. She was a great advocate and loved the fact that she and Heather Morris had the lesbian relationship on the show and how much that meant to so many young people. So yeah, she was a force of nature, and it's just a gut-wrenching and heartbreaking that she's gone.
Jane Lynch's niece, Meg Doyle, was close with Naya. Meg previously remembered her friend in an emotional Instagram post last month where she wrote that Naya took her under her wing and brought her into her crew. And she added that being in Naya's presence made her feel larger than life.
Naya died last month from an accidental drowning, and her body was found 5 days after she went missing during a boating trip at Lake Piru in Ventura County, California, with her 4-year-old son, Josie, who was found safe sleeping in that boat. Naya was 33 years old.
At a news conference in July, Ventura County Sheriff Bill Ayub recounted what Josie told authorities about the tragic accident. He said, "We know from speaking with her son that he and Naya swam in the lake together at some point during their journey. It was during that time that her son described being helped into the boat by Naya, who boosted him onto the deck from behind. He told investigators that he looked back and saw her disappear under the surface of the water."
During the news conference, Sheriff Bill Ayub expressed his condolences to the actress's loved ones, and he said in part, "Our hearts also go out to Naya's many friends and fans who've been holding out hope for the best."
Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne are teasing their upcoming biopic, with Sharon telling Rolling Stone they're, quote, "not making it for kids," adding, "it's an adult movie for adults." She explains that they want the film to be grittier than other recent biopics like Rocketman and Bohemian Rhapsody, and not, as she puts it, squeaky, shiny, clean.
According to Ozzy, the film will be about his and Sharon's relationship, how they met, how they fell in love, and got married. Their son Jack Osbourne's production company is working on the film. Jack told Rolling Stone that the biopic is in its, quote, very, very early stages, but it is in active development and already has a writer attached. Jack also confirms that the film will focus on Ozzy and Sharon's life events from 1979 to 1996.
Ozzy and Sharon met in the late 70s when her father managed Ozzy's metal band, Black Sabbath. They share 3 adult children, Amy, Kelly, and Jack, and recently celebrated 38 years of marriage. As for who the couple wants to play them in the film, Ozzy says he hasn't thought about it, but that Sharon wants an unknown actor. She says that she hopes it'll be a story everyone can relate to, explaining that you don't have to be a fan of Ozzy's music to like the film, since it's a personal story about overcoming everything that's thrown at you in life.
Ciara is opening up about the meaning behind her new baby boy's name. It's Wynn Harrison Wilson. An emotional Ciara told Entertainment Tonight that all the credit for the name actually goes to her husband, Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson.
Ciara explains that the first name Wynn is a long time coming, with a lot of love and thought put into it. She remembers talking about baby names with her husband over the years, and Wynn was, quote, in the rotation even back when she was pregnant with their first child together, daughter Sienna, who was born in 2017. Russell apparently had a whole skit that he'd play out using the name, saying, "Here's Wynn, shortstop." That sounds like it kind of became an inside joke over the years. Ciara adds, he had all the good names, and Wynn won.
Makes sense. And they have Russell to thank for the middle name, too. Harrison is his father's first name. It's a tribute that Ciara calls really sweet and precious. And something else sweet and precious, just moments after baby Wynn's arrival, the proud mom welcomed her son to the world by singing happy birthday to him. Take a look.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Wynn. Happy birthday to you. Woo! I didn't have any, but I could get it out. Happy birthday, sunshine.
It's very precious. Now, reflecting on her birth experience, Ciara calls it really smooth and says she, quote, pushed Win out in 8 minutes, which was the fastest delivery she's experienced out of her 3 children, baby Win, 3-year-old Sienna, and 6-year-old Future, the son that she shares with her ex-fiance, rapper Future.
All right, guys, here's a story that's been getting a lot of traction on People.com. President Trump's former executive assistant, Madeleine Westerhout, is speaking out about her time in the White House and opening up about the reason she was forced out. Unlike many others ousted from their positions, Madeleine has many positive things to say about the president and his family.
Madeleine left the administration after sharing intimate details about the Trumps at an off-the-record dinner with reporters. Some of the rumored revelations were that she felt she had a stronger relationship with President Trump than his daughters, Tiffany or Ivanka. Westerhout also reportedly said that Trump felt Tiffany was overweight and didn't like being photographed with her.
Almost a year later, Madeleine is back to tell her story in a newly released book, Off the Record. She tells people, quote, as much as I wish this dinner didn't happen and things didn't end the way they did, I'm really glad that I learned a lot from this. She goes on to say she was devastated after losing her job, but she wanted to process what happened before moving on to something new. And she explains that the book, quote, reads almost like my diary.
And here are a few highlights. She goes into a lot of detail about what the job entailed. She says someone once told her, you're a traffic cop at the most important intersection in the world, deciding who has access to the president's time. She sometimes had a hand in helping him write his tweets before he signed off on sending them, but she didn't always love the message behind them. Madeleine also insists that Trump is performing the duties of the presidency with due diligence. She writes that he has more energy than everyone else in the West Wing, and she adds we could barely keep up with him.
As for the dinner that cost her job, Madeleine explains that she had been drinking throughout the day. She says her defenses were down. She writes that during the dinner, the wine continued to flow, so she felt comfortable about opening up. She tells people, it's hard for me to believe that I made those comments because I know that the comments that are reported I made are not true, and I don't believe them to be true. But I take responsibility for what was reported. She goes on to say, I'm focused on forgiveness and providing a really important insight on the man that I got to know who's a great leader, father, husband, and just trying to look forward.
Now, Westerhout is back home in California. She says she has no expectation of going back into the White House, but will continue to advocate for Trump on the outside.
All right, stay with us. Ashley Simpson and Evan Ross are opening up about raising their growing family. Plus, have you seen Boys State on Apple TV+? Well, the new documentary has completely captivated viewers. Later on, we're going to be joined by 3 of its stars who participated in a program for high school boys to build their own mock government. Stick around.
In this week's issue of People, Jordin Sparks is opening up about her career, life with model husband Dana Isaiah, and being a mom to 2-year-old son DJ.
The singer's new EP, Sounds Like Me, will be released on August 14th, and the American Idol Season 6 winner just turned 30. She tells us while she feels so far removed from that 17-year-old girl on Idol, she says she's still the same at her core. Sparks has toured with Britney Spears, singing everything from pop and power ballads to R&B, but she says this album is the first time she feels like a project really sounds like her.
Sparks also opens up about self-isolating with her husband. She tells us, even before the pandemic, we were always together 24/7, but it's been nice to spend time with him and get to know him even more. But we have our own time too. He'll play Call of Duty and I'll play my Nintendo Switch.
And as for their son, DJ, Sparks says he has just blossomed so much during this time, and she adds that being able to see him grow every single day is so much fun. She recalls when DJ walked up to Dana and shook his hand and said, "Nice to meet you, Dad." Sparks says it was the cutest thing. We never taught him how to shake hands. Kids just figured it out.
Sparks also opens up about raising a black son in America and says she and her husband have discussed talking to him about race. She says, how do we tell him that he may be treated differently because his parents have melanin in their skin? It's devastating. I want his future to be better than this. It's got to be better than this.
This week's family issue of People also features Leslie Odom Jr., his wife Nicolette Robinson, and their daughter, 3-year-old Lucy. They're opening up about how they found some silver linings to life in self-isolation, including how they were able to watch and celebrate Leslie in Hamilton the movie together as a family. Take a look.
It was just fun to be able to sit next to him and sit next to our daughter and my parents and just watch it and reminisce. And I'm so grateful that we have that as a time capsule for ourselves.
A little record.
Yeah, it's fun to be able to revisit that and to share it. And this was all before Lucy was even born. So like she had no idea what Hamilton was for a really long time. And we just this year started introducing the music to her and and she knows all of the cast as like her aunts and uncles, so, but she doesn't know that any of them have anything to do with some thing called Hamilton. So it was really fun to get to introduce her to that, and for her to see Pippa on the screen as some beautiful, amazing Eliza, you know, so and obviously her dad.
It's been this wonderful thing that, you know, people have been able to revisit it and obviously experience it for the first time. And, you know, even signing on to do it, you know, I didn't sign up to make a Hamilton movie. You know, I signed, we all agreed to be a part of an off-Broadway show that we hoped would someday be a Broadway show. I mean, that, you know, that was like as far as you could see, like, you know, maybe this thing that we believe in can get to Broadway. So the fact that it's filmed and now it exists on Disney Plus, and
I mean, we didn't know how we were going to pay our rent.
Yeah.
When we were both in off-Broadway shows at the same time, when he was doing Hamilton,
right.
We were making not enough money to pay our rent.
They've definitely come a long way, so well deserved. Another highlight of the lockdown has been the amount of quality time the family has spent with each other. Here's what they told us about how it's been going.
It's been really wonderful. On the most part, I mean, our family, we don't spend this much time together ever. You know, Les is on the road for a good portion of the month, every month each year. He travels so much and we work a lot, and, you know, our daughter goes to school, and we just always have different projects going on that keeps us pretty busy. We spend most of the day apart in our normal lives. And so this was the most amount of time we've ever spent as a family since our daughter was born, really. So it's actually been, you know, as tricky as this time is, and we feel the lows pretty strong. The lows are low, but the highs are also a huge blessing. The family time has really been a big part of that, for me at least.
Yeah, it's true. I agree. It's the simple stuff, the stuff that everybody's doing, that some people take for granted, but, you know, being able to have dinner at the same table every single night, being able to read my daughter a book before bed every single night, and make her breakfast every single morning, you know, that kind of stuff, that normalcy, you know, we've never had
that ever.
So that's been really special. And then of course it's been challenging too, you know, being preschool teachers and working from home as well, and even you know, every now and again when it gets tense, we do have to remind ourselves that nothing about this is normal or natural. Even the amount of time that we're spending together, that is not normal.
Yeah, all parents out there relate to some degree about how weird this whole thing has been during the pandemic. And in addition to Leslie and Nicolette, we caught up with Ashley Simpson and Evan Ross, who are expecting their second child together. And in this week's People Family issue, they are opening up about the wild times that they've been having while self-isolating together this year.
Including the time their 5-year-old daughter Jagger took some creative license on a piece of art that Evan had just finished working on. So here's what he had to say about that.
Well, she's an amazing artist.
Yeah, she's been into
And
art.
she has found a way to draw all over one of my paintings that taken me for.
Took so long on.
It's a massive piece.
Yeah.
And I came downstairs and I was like, but she made it more special.
The actor and singer, whose mom is recording legend Diana Ross, admits that he, quote, had to take a little breather after that one, but glad to see he's laughing about it now. And as Ashley told us, she believes all kids should have a creative outlet. Watch.
I think the most important thing is letting them be themselves and finding what their passion is, and not, you know, pushing that, and letting them try out everything, and basically not putting anything on what that spotlight is. That's kind of my way about it.
Ashley tells us her eldest child, 11-year-old Bronx, who she shares with her ex-husband Pete Wentz, plays piano and basketball, while Jagger is a swimmer and has a, quote, beautiful voice.
As for their little one on the way, he is due this fall. Dad Evan has been attending Ashley's prenatal visits via FaceTime to help prevent the spread of COVID. And he thinks his son will have some style, telling us, quote, he's going to be amazing with his outfits. I'm excited to dress him in top hats and trench coats.
Ashley is just as excited to welcome their new baby into the world. Here's what she said is her favorite part. Take a look.
My favorite part for me is they smell so good and like good snuggles, and I'm looking forward to breastfeeding. It all sounds good.
sign for governor? Okay. Yes, sign for governor. I'm sheriff, please. You want to move for governor, my friend? Nationalists. All right. I need a reason why. To the future. Improved school safety. That's what I got. Better education spending. Very important. Very important. Will you endorse me? Yes. My brother. My brother.
All right, guys, Boys State is a revealing immersion into an annual week-long program where 1,000 Texas high school seniors gather for an elaborate mock exercise. They build their own state government. No big deal. To tell us more about the film, we're joined by Steven Garza, Renee Otero, and Ben Feinstein. Good to see all of you. Thank you for being here. How you feeling, guys?
Feeling good.
I'm doing great.
Yeah, okay. Well, look, this is fascinating. And it's like a week-long intensive. I love how the stakes immediately ratchet up as you watch this. Let's just go around the horn here. What was the most exciting part about this experience for you? Steven, we'll start with you.
The ability to learn from other people and kind of see if you have what it takes to kind of make it in running a campaign, running in politics. It's really, if you're ever thinking about it, it's really like, it's kind of like you get to run a campaign without any like lasting consequences.
Ben, for you, what was the most exciting part about this?
I'd still been learning about myself, at the event, leading a huge team of people and an experience that most people never really get. And then afterwards, having this documentary, immortalized forever, where you can look back at, like what I was proud of and what I'm not proud of and what I change. And it's a time capsule.
Yeah. And Renee, how about for you? What was most exciting?
I think what was most exciting for me was just the whole situation, the whole scenario that I was in. It was a very unreal, very new experience. I mean, for instance, me, someone, has made a pop point in the documentary who's like, political beliefs were divergent. I was in a space where I was forced to be around people who weren't like me. So it made me feel like I was in survival mode the entire time, but honestly, it made the experience much more sweeter to remember.
I'll bet. And Ben, I know you're a big Ronald Reagan admirer. Two things. What impressed you most about him, and what do you think is most relevant about Reagan's philosophy for today? Here we go. We're getting into it. Here's the pitch. Let's see what you learned.
I mean, they call him the great communicator. And I mean, look, some of his policies are dated for sure. And some of his, policies, may not have had the best long-term effects, but he knew how to connect to a lot of Americans. And he knew how to restore pride in the country in a way that it hadn't, been there in a long time. And he was the president that got us out of, the Vietnam era and, this era of apathy and self-doubt. It kind of made us all believe again. And I feel like we need a really powerful leader like that right now.
And Steven, I understand you're a Bernie supporter. Tell me what makes Bernie Sanders so special, especially right now in 2020.
The fact that a 70-year-old white guy from Vermont can energize young people all across the country in ways that haven't in decades, especially among the Latino population. Like just winning overwhelmingly that demographic, young and old. That was very, very exciting for me, and just hopeful that now as his campaign came to an end and we move forward, that what he instilled in the progressive movement is gonna outlive him for generations.
And Renee, for you, who do you identify with the most in politics today?
I would say it's always changing. I think right now I'm identifying a lot with Cori Bush, who is the Democratic nominee for the 1st District of Missouri. She's a Black woman. She's very, very much so regular looking person, and that resonates with me a lot. So I think I identify with, very regular looking and qualified folks.
You guys are polished. I'm telling you, this worked. It's all you got. You're on point. You got the sound bites. Let me ask you this. Kind of a fun moment as you watch. There's a scene where people are proposing all these crazy laws. What was the craziest law that was proposed that you recall? Or maybe the one that passed that was the most,
There was the Lone Star Defense Act, which they basically decided to build a Death Star in space to protect us from alien invasion. The one I always remember, though, is they call it the cargo embargo. They banned cargo shorts. That one, so if you couldn't wear cargo shorts were banned, and you'd be arrested. You'd be fined if you were wearing a cargo short.
Steven, is that a crazy idea, or is it a really good idea to move us forward? Honestly, it's time to put those to rest, I think.
As I'm wearing cargo shorts right now, I think it's
But you make up for it in the cool race car chair that you're in. Let's just lean over there a little. Take a quick look. Look at this. Look at this. If you have that chair, you get a pass to wear cargo shorts anywhere you want. Ben, for you, what was the craziest law?
I'm a big George W. Bush fan, so I was really partial to the law that made the pronunciation of W into W in Texas school.
Yeah,
I think we move on.
I believe they said you were fine. If you said W, you were fine. And you also had to write an apology to George W. Bush.
As it could be. As it could be.
See, this is important legislative action was taken. All right, Renee, how about for you?
I think my favorite one was when they were moving all the Prius drivers to Oklahoma, because personally, I'm scared of Priuses. Like, what you so quiet for? Like, who you trying to sneak up on? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a real threat. That's a real threat to society. I'm glad we took care of that.
I like that. Let's talk about the upcoming election just a little bit. Now that you guys are seasoned politicians, what advice would you give to each candidate? Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Ben, let's start with you. You're an advisor now. Here we go.
Biggest piece of advice to President Trump. Please stop acting like everything is an election all the time. We have COVID. We have major racial injustice protests going on. There are important issues in the present day. Yeah, and so Mr. Biden, just shut your mouth and let things play out.
Steven, how about for you? You're an advisor to each candidate. What's the advice?
To President Trump to stop tweeting. And, it's just like stop shooting yourself in the foot. If I were an advisor to the president, which in a million years I'd never be, and to Joe Biden, there's no room for forever in that this election is ours to lose. So,
Renee, how about for you?
I would say for both the candidates, just listen to the people. I would take the psych evaluations. And for Donald Trump in particular, I would say do not run. And then as for Biden, you know what? It's time for him to listen to those that he doesn't want to. He needs to look a little bit more left. He cannot just appeal to the moderate voters, because these aren't moderate times.
I really appreciate you all taking some time. Steven, Benjamin, Renee, thank you for being here. Boys State will make its global debut on Apple TV Plus Friday, August 14th. Check it out. All right, coming up tomorrow, the Real Housewives of Potomac's 5th season is underway, and we're catching up with Monique Samuels about all the drama.
Plus, Lindsay L has a new album and it's out tomorrow. She'll tell us all about her new music, and she's got an update on her friend Carly Pierce after her split from Michael Ray. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
Bye, guys.